some of the most high-performant people in the world and that I've met, they're very high performance because that's their coping strategy. That's the difference between unhealthy coping and healthy coping, is that unhealthy coping does not help you return to a regulated state in a healthy way. It just helps you avoid or discharge or pretend. While healthy coping helps you return to a regulated state. Your emotions only do unhealthy things because they feel they need them. But once they no longer need them, because you know how to self-regulate, they will be able to let go. It's like a permanent transition, and in just a few weeks they do that. And their lives completely change. You don't just want to live a life where you're just coping with your triggers all the time. I think you want to live a life where you actually get to be fully yourself, to be fully authentic, to live with full presence, authenticity, connection, meaning. You want to live a meaningful life. Healing, it's not about stopping having triggers. It's about you feeling safe with your triggers instead of being overwhelmed by them. And with time, they will feel so safe. They will even stop being triggers. Instead of having inner blocks, through healing, you will transform them into superpowers. Welcome back to Talk the Walk, where we explore how to walk your journey of healing, growth, and transformation with more success, ease, and joy. There are 5 stages in the journey of personal transformation, of healing, growth, awakening. And those 5 stages are critical for you to understand, so you know exactly where you are right now and what the path is going to look like as you move through your journey. And most importantly, what type of challenges will you encounter on each of those stages and what kind of resources and solutions do you need to overcome them. So these 5 stages I have identified from working and having thousands of students go through my courses and programs, and I'm going to share them today with you. The first stage is the only stage that it's not yet necessarily part of the journey, and it's usually the stage where people do not yet come to the journey, to my programs, to my trainings. That stage is stage number 1, surviving. Surviving is the stage where you are just going through life, through the trauma, and you're just trying to survive. This is before you start to do any work, you start to try to change anything at all. The trauma is happening to you. The difficulty is happening to you right then, right now. The wound, the emotional wound is happening to you. It's being created. And you're just trying to survive through the trauma, just trying to survive through that situation. So that is the pre-stage before people actually start to do the journey. And it's the reason why the journey needs to be made, because there is a surviving stage which takes you out of your thriving mode, out of your growth mode, out of your wholeness, out of your light and joy and well-being, your essence really, and your purpose. It takes you out of that. So that's the surviving stage. You're just surviving, your emotions are put into survival mode, and that's where the trauma happens. Then what happens is, because of that trauma, because of the survival mode, you get the impacts of that, the patterns that it creates in you, the inner blocks, the fear, the reactive emotion, the unhelpful behaviors, habits, addictions, the self-sabotage, the toxic relationship patterns, all of those patterns that are created in you because of the trauma, because of the survival mode. And so what the next stage is, a stage where you are trying to live your life and function despite those patterns. So you have a certain behavior, a certain emotion, a certain trigger that is harmful to you, that is dysregulated, that is out of balance because of the trauma, because of the survival stage. And now you're just trying to live your life and cope with that part, is the anxiety, the depression, the block, the fear, the self-sabotage, whatever it is, the procrastination, the perfectionism, the people-pleasing. You are just trying to cope with that. So what does coping mean? Coping means that you have that pattern and you're just trying to find ways to still function in life and still keep living even though you have that pattern. So you're just trying to find ways to maybe avoid that pattern, avoid that feeling, to push it down, to not feel it as much or not let it impact you as much, and still find a way to and continue living. So that's the coping stage. But there are actually 2 different levels of the coping stage. So the second stage is what I call the unhealthy coping stage. And this is where your coping strategies are, as the name implies, unhealthy. So the strategies that you have found to cope with those feelings, with those traumas, with those patterns, they are unhealthy. So in the end, even though they might be helping you function or avoid those feelings, they are unhealthy to you and often even harmful to you. And two different levels of unhealthy here. There is the unhealthy level. It's unhealthy because it's not healthy for you. For example, let's talk about the workaholic. So it's not healthy necessarily to be coping with your anxiety, with your people pleasing, with your fear of rejection by being a workaholic or by being a high performer. It's not necessarily healthy emotionally speaking because you are doing that to avoid your emotions. You're not working with your emotions. You're not healing them. You're not transforming them. You're just avoiding them and you're avoiding your triggers. And in the end, it becomes unhealthy because it will become too much. It will become out of balance. That's why the word exists. It's a workaholic because it's too much. There is a healthy degree, hard work and success and achievement and performance. There's healthy versions of that. But when it is being used as a coping strategy, then it becomes unhealthy itself because it will be too much, it will be out of balance, it will harm other areas of your life. And even though you might be very successful on that coping strategy, some of the most high performant people in the world and that I've met, they're very high performance because that's their coping strategy. Okay? So even though it might be very successful, inside, there's inner conflicts, there are shadows that they're trying to avoid, and that has negative repercussions not only in their life around them, in different areas of their life, but also in their mental health and well-being. For example, mindlessly scrolling on social apps. That's an unhealthy content. It's not necessarily harming you in the moment, but in another way it also is because it's, it's numbing you, numbing your mind. So it's also unhealthy in that way. Or gaming, gaming can be fun, but when it becomes an unhealthy coping strategy, it becomes an addiction. And that's when it becomes unhealthy for you as well. And then there's an even deeper level of the unhealthy coping strategies when the strategy itself is in itself, just the action is harmful to you. And you can think about kinds of addictions, whether it is binge eating, smoking, drinking, whatever it is, self-harming behaviors, any coping strategy that is unhealthy to you. So these are the unhealthy coping mechanisms for the unhealthy coping stage. And what happens here is your emotions, try to find these strategies to avoid those difficult feelings. And those strategies, they don't really work in a healthy way. They can help you sometimes distract from them, avoid them, forget them momentarily. They try to fill the void that the trauma created, for example, of love. Try to do the void with some form of external success, some physical pleasure, or even mental pleasure, but it's like instant gratification. They try to fill the void, they try to distract you, they try to numb you, they try to discharge those emotions, those feelings onto something else, but nothing of that is real work. Nothing of that is really helping you return to a regulated state. And that's the difference between unhealthy coping and healthy coping, is that unhealthy coping does not help you return to a regulated state in a healthy way. It just helps you avoid or discharge or pretend. While healthy coping actually helps you return to a regulated state. So that's the third stage. The second stage is unhealthy coping, which is what usually happens after the surviving. Your emotions just come up with some strategies to try to help you cope. And usually, because they don't know any better, these are unhealthy coping strategies. And by the way, this is very important for you to understand. Anything that you do in your life that you feel is harming you, all your inner blocks and negative patterns, whatever they are, the ones that you don't like, that you would like to change about yourself, the ones that you would like to transform, the ones sometimes that you feel shame or guilt or even frustration at yourself for having them and being unable to change them. It's important for you to understand that they are just your current coping mechanisms that your emotions have, and they don't have any better, so they don't know any better, and they have to use those words. It's not that they want to hurt you. It's not that your emotions make you self-sabotage, make you hurt, make you do things that hurt and block you from your goals. It's not that they want that. It's just that they need a coping strategy to cope with your trauma, with your feelings, and they don't know any better, so they have to use those ones. They're just trying to do their best, and that's very important. So your attitude should not be one of judging yourself and the parts of you that do that for that. Should be one of understanding why they do that and what they need to stop doing that. And that's very clear now. What they need is they need a better coping mechanism, one that actually helps you regulate and return to balance. And that would be a healthy coping mechanism. So that's usually what you want to do next, is you want to learn healthy coping mechanisms to go into stage 3. And that in itself is a very, very powerful transformation when you learn that, because when you are able to self-regulate, which is what a healthy coping mechanism is. It's self-regulation, emotional regulation. That's what it is. There are many techniques, many ways to do this, which will be subject in another episode. But for now, I just want you to understand the different stages, okay? But that's all that they are. Healthy coping mechanisms are ways to bring yourself back from dysregulation to regulation when you are triggered, when you are overwhelmed, when you are dysregulated. And these are ways that are healthy, that they actually do you good, actually bring you balance and regulation. They're not just escape mechanisms like the unhealthy coping mechanisms. They're not just distracting you or pretending or trying to fill the void. It's something external, something different. And they're not harming you. They're actually real. They're working. They're literally bringing you back to balance, to regulation. And they're healthy for you. They help you. They do you good. And that's the main difference. And when you learn to have this healthy coping mechanism, that changes your life in incredible, incredible, beautiful ways. Because now that you know how to self-regulate, how to bring yourself back to balance, now that you have the healthy coping mechanisms, your emotions will be able to let go of the unhealthy coping mechanisms. They really will, because they will no longer need them. This is something you need to understand. Your emotions only do unhealthy things because they feel they need them. But once they no longer need them, because you know how to self-regulate, they will be able to let go. Let go the addictions, let go the harmful behaviors, let go the reactive reactions, let go the automatic behavior, the self-numb, all of those unhealthy coping mechanisms that you have that harm you, that block you. You will be able to let go of those. Because this is interesting. Most people want to come and learn ways to stop having those unhealthy patterns. And you completely transform the way we think. You don't need to to transform or stop those behaviors, those patterns that are unhealthy for you. You don't need to do that. Just see that they have a function. Instead, learn how to have healthy ways of doing what those unhealthy ways do. Learn how to self-regulate, and then naturally you will let go of the old ones, of the unhealthy ones. And that completely changes their behaviors. They don't have to fight their patterns. They just need to offer them a better way, a better alternative, and learn how to do that for themselves, which they learn how to do fast. And just let me know, if that is all that this helped you do, letting go of the unhealthy coping mechanisms and know how to self-regulate instead. If all that we helped you achieve was that, wouldn't that already be 1,000 times worth it? Wouldn't that already be incredible and amazing transformation in your life to be able to finally let go of those unhealthy patterns? Wouldn't that be? This is just the first transformation that you go through, which is from unhealthy coping to healthy coping. It's just the first. There are 2 more stages, okay? We have already seen 3, surviving, unhealthy coping, and then healthy coping. There are 2 more. But just these completely transforms your life, and it's very worth to learn how to do. And I would say that a big percentage of my students and clients that come to our programs, to our community, they are at this stage number 2. They are at unhealthy coping. Maybe about half, okay? Very few are in the survival stage, because in the survival stage, you don't even have the capacity to think about changing. You are just trying to survive, unfortunately. But most people, especially if you are already an adult and you're here and you're watching this video, you're probably not in the survival stage anymore. You're probably in the unhealthy coping stage now, which for many people feels like the surviving stage, because what unhealthy coping does is it mirrors and prolongs and continues the survival state. Okay, so it's like it's recreating the survival state over and over, but it's not the survival stage itself anymore. It's unhealthy coping, and it feels like surviving because you're in the unhealthy coping, which are the survival mechanisms that are stuck there. Okay, so even if you feel like you're in survival stage, that probably means that you're just in unhealthy coping. And what you need now, learn how to move into the healthy coping stage. And just that by itself will change your life in incredible ways. And as I was saying, maybe half of the people that join our community and programs, they are at the unhealthy coping stage. And when they join our programs, in a few weeks, sometimes 2, 3, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks maximum, they learn very powerfully how to self-regulate. And they are able to transition from unhealthy coping to healthy coping forever. It's like a permanent transition. And in just a few weeks, they do that. And their lives completely change. So you can do the same. You can absolutely do the same. And if you are in the unhealthy coping stage, I have very good news for you. Even if it seems hopeless, even if it feels too overwhelming right now and you cannot see the way out, once you learn and once you have the right guidance and support, which happily we are here to give you, it will be much faster than you think. And you will be able to jump into the healthy coping stage in a short amount of time. And I usually don't like to promise short transformations. Okay, I don't like that. And especially when we go to the next stages, the 4th and the 5th stage, I'm going to say it takes time. But I can say that this specific transformation, I can say it from experience, from seeing it every day. Our students do that. I can say that from unhealthy coping to healthy coping, it can actually be fast. It can take a few weeks, okay, if you have the right guidance and support, which we're here to offer you. So that's very good news for you. Most of my students, are a big part of them, they are just like that. They come in unhealthy coping stage with unhealthy patterns that they want to change in themselves. And they come, and instead of learning ways, so once you learn how to have the healthy coping mechanisms, how to self-regulate, then you are in the healthy coping stage. And that's a much more beautiful stage. It's much easier. You are free from all the negative self-harm that you're causing yourself, which is awesome. Now, some people would be like, okay, Philippe, that's all I need. That's all I want. Beautiful. I'm done here. I'm done here. That's all I wanted to do. There are 2 more stages. So let me tell you about them. Because when you are learning how to self-regulate, when you have healthy coping mechanisms, what this helps you do is this helps you, when you are triggered, to come back to regulation. So you don't have to have the unhealthy coping mechanisms and you're not overwhelmed. So that's all it does. It helps you come back to regulation when you are triggered. So you don't have to go into negative, unhealthy patterns. It's a lot already, but it's all it does. And if that's all you want to do, if you just want to live your life coping, good for you. But if I know you well, and I think I do, I think, if you're listening to me, probably you're a human being, then I think that you want more than just coping in your life. You don't just want to live a life where you're just coping with your triggers all the time, right? And I think you want to live a life where you actually get to be fully yourself, to be fully authentic, to live with full presence, authenticity, connection, love, meaning. You want to live a meaningful life. You want to live a life with love, real love, right? And guess what? All of these things that I just told you about, the love, the meaning, the authenticity, the purpose, the connection, all of these things, they are triggering. So if you just want a life of coping, you'll have to avoid these things the entire time, or you'll just be all the time getting triggered and trying to regulate yourself, and you'll not be able to live with true love, true authenticity, true purpose and meaning. Because you'll just be triggered all the time by them. And you'll not be able to grow into your next level. You'll just stay in the same level. Okay, you're regulated, you're balanced, but you'll not be able to grow into the next level. And if you want to grow into the next level, if you want to, in other words, to thrive, right? To thrive, then you're not going to just have to learn how to have healthy coping, but you're actually going to have to learn how to go into those very triggers, the wounds, the traumas, heal them so that they stop blocking you, stop triggering. And this is the stage that is after the healthy coping. It's the stage of healing. The stage of healing. So what is healing? Healing is when you not only learn how to reach out to regulation when you're triggered, now you actually go to meet the parts of you that are wounded, that have the trauma, that are holding the trauma, that are creating those triggers. And you actually go to meet them, to meet those shadows and work with them, bring them back to safety, bring them back to regulation, heal them transform the root cause of your patterns, of your triggers, which is those traumas, those wounds. So you actually go to work with your emotions rather than just coping with. Actually, now you go to those emotions that come up, the negative emotions, and you're going to transform them, to balance them, to return them to balance so they stop being those negative emotions. They become positive, or using better language, they become constructive emotions. People think that emotions are positive or negative, and that's a subject for another episode. But that's not the way we think of constructive and destructive. So for example, anger. People would say anger is a negative emotion, but it's not always bad. It can be good. And that would be constructive. However, sadness can also be constructive, okay? This work of healing, it will never mean that you get rid of anger, of any emotion whatsoever. It doesn't mean that you'll get rid of them. You'll just transform them from destructive, where they're harming you, into constructive, where they're helping you. And that's the healing process. That's what it is. And again, just this entire process can and will be a subject for an entire other episode or many episodes, for sure. But for now, just understanding that's the next stage, the healing stage. And most often, this is the most difficult stage for people, most challenging one. Because instead of going away from your triggers and your difficult emotions, you're going to meet them. That's something that you're like, if you're not there yet right now, you're like, no way, I do not want that. I'm just going to stay in healthy coping, right? But if you just do that, you're just going to stay stuck your entire life. So you have to heal. But the difference is when you learn how to properly heal in the right way with the right support and guidance, it won't be so scary. It's still challenging, but you can do it. You have the resources to do it. And it's a beautiful experience as well and very meaningful. And most importantly, it gets you to the next and final stage, which I'll get to soon. But just understanding that healing is a stage that is usually the scariest one for people and the most triggering as well, because you're literally going to meet your triggers. And by the way, this is something that I always say, healing, it's not about stopping having triggers. It's about you feeling safe with your triggers instead of being overwhelmed by them. And with time, they will feel so safe. They will even stop being triggers, but your initial goal is not to eliminate the triggers. It's just to feel safe and connect with them and bring them back to life. And that's the healing stage. Healing is really a much longer state. It requires you to go deep, and it's also made of many layers. Okay, there are many layers to healing. So you'll do one layer, and then you'll go to another layer, and then to another layer. So it's made of many layers, but each layer helps you come higher and have a more beautiful life. And it's probably one of my favorite stages because it's really delicate to work with your emotions, your traumas, your triggers in such a powerful and beautiful way. It's very delicate, and it's something that I love doing. When you do that in the right way, it's beautiful, the transformations that happen. Instead of you just stopping the unhealthy coping mechanism and changing healthy coping mechanisms, what happens through healing is that your patterns will be transformed, and instead of having inner blocks, through healing, you will transform them into superpowers. And that's the power of healing. It's the hardest stage for sure, but it's also the most powerful one and the one that most transforms your life. Like, it's gigantic leap. If you thought that from unhealthy to healthy coping was an enormous leap, which it is, from unhealthy coping to healing, it's a gigantic leap, especially because healing is the bridge that then brings you to the last stage, fifth stage. And I also have a lot of people that come to our programs and community who are at that healing stage. So maybe they have started it recently, or they have been doing the healing stage for some time because it's a long and deep stage. And they also join us at that stage, and they learn the techniques that they need in order to bring that healing to success and then go into the next stage, which is thriving. It's when you get to thrive. So what happens here is, because you went through the healing, you have transformed your emotions, your patterns from inner blocks to superpowers. What this means is that instead of them blocking you, they're actually helping you now. They're helping you achieve your goals and do what you want and be authentic. Instead of, for example, having a fear of being authentic, you have the intention, the desire, the courage to be authentic. Instead of having self-sabotage, you have your emotions working for you, helping you achieve your goals. Instead of having people pleasing and going for toxic relationships, you have self-confidence and you have patterns that help you build healthy relationships. And that is only possible, this is very important, that is only possible because you went through the healing journey. Okay? You do not have other way to get there. But this is only possible because you went through the healing. But once you go through the healing and you transform those emotions, then they become your superpowers and you get to thriving. The final stage. The fifth stage is thriving. What is thriving? Thriving simply means that you are now living with purpose, with meaning, with connection, with love, with joy, with authenticity, with courage. That's how we all want to live, to our highest potential. Your relationships are beautiful. The work that you do is meaningful to you. Your mental health, inner well-being is balanced, is beautiful. You are high, you are balanced, you are at peace, you have good relationships, your health is great, you are doing great things, right? That's the thriving state. It's beautiful to live that, and it's only possible when you've gone through the previous stage. So this is very important for me to say, because last point for today, super important. I see a lot of people and a lot of programs and teachers and coaches to help people just do one of these stages and not in the right order. This is the full approach. This is a full journey, and this is what I've created to help everyone the best path possible. And what I see around me is, unfortunately, a lot of the techniques and modalities and programs that I see around, they are fragmented. So they're focusing on one particular aspect of the entire journey, and they're not doing it in an integrated, holistic way. And because they're fragmented, they're often not effective as they could be. Sometimes they're just ineffective, and sometimes they're even harmful. So it's very, very important that you understand the entire process, how it goes from beginning to end, and that you follow it in the right order, and also that you do it the entire thing. Otherwise, you'll stay stuck. So let me give you an example. I think most programs are beautiful, and they're teaching you how to self-regulate, so healthy coping. That's awesome. But they just do that, and then people just do that, and they think, oh, life is done. Okay, that's all there was. And then they stay stuck there the rest of their lives because they think that's all there is, and they didn't know that after healthy coping, they had to go to healing, and then that's when they get to thrive. So what happens is they just do the healthy coping, and then they just live the rest of their lives. At least they live without the unhealthy mechanisms, which is beautiful, which is great, but they're still stuck. They're not thriving. So that's something that you shouldn't do. And then the programs and the people that are just focusing on healing. I see this more and more nowadays. They're just focusing on healing. And healing is beautiful and super important to get to thriving. But sometimes these programs and people are just so focused on the healing that they stay stuck in the healing forever. And they never get to thriving. They're just focused on the healing. I'm just healing, just working with my shadows, just meeting my emotions all the time, my triggers all the time. But why are you doing that? It's so you get to thrive. So you have to move to the thriving stage. And there are ways and techniques to do that as well, which I'll cover, and I cover in my programs, and I'll cover in other videos as well. And then there's also, and that's what people that are focusing just on the healing, but without having done the healthy coping before. And that's actually harmful. It's true. That's why you have to follow the right order. If you just go to healing directly without learning healthy coping before you go to healing, this is actually going to be harmful and re-traumatizing to you. Because when you are in the healing journey, you are going to get triggered a lot. And if you don't know healthy coping strategies, if you don't know how to self-regulate, then you'll be overwhelmed by those triggers and you'll be re-traumatized. It will be even worse. And I see this a lot. And you've experienced this yourself, programs, modalities that just tell you to heal, but without having the necessary self-regulation first. So they just tell you to go directly to your feelings. Just go feel your feelings, right? You've probably heard that before. You have to feel in order to heal. You have to feel in order to heal. That's true, but first you need to learn how to self-regulate, and then you can feel to heal. But if you just go directly to feeling your feelings, if you just go directly to find the trauma, find the wound, work with the wound, do the inner child work, shadow work, all of that, and don't have the self-regulation skills first, that's going to be very harmful for you. And I see that a lot. That's why you need to follow this specific order. That's why first you need healthy coping, and then you can go to healing. And then healing is powerful. But just if you follow that order. And then I also see people who are just trying to thrive directly. They're just trying to thrive. They're just bypassing. That's what we call bypassing. You've probably heard the term spiritual bypassing, emotional bypassing, toxic positivity. These are those people who are just trying to thrive. They're just, to be authentic in life and live life with meaning and purpose, but they haven't done the healing work and sometimes not even the healthy coping work. So it's just fake thriving. They're not really able to do that. They're just pretending. And you probably know someone like that, like they thrive, but you can feel that there's something inside them that's not whole, that there's some shadows that they're trying to avoid. And that thriving is just another avoidance technique. So you just try to go to the thriving direction, it will be fake thriving. And it will also be re-traumatizing in a way, because if you also do that without the healing and without the self-regulation, the healthy coping, I like to call that overriding. You're overriding your emotions. You're not working with them. You're not transforming your emotions from blocks into superpowers. No, you are just trying to force them, override them to be like you want them to be. And that's traumatizing for your emotions. That creates more dysregulation. So just trying to thrive alone also doesn't work. It works when you've done the self-regulation, right? The healthy coping, then you've done the healing, and then you go to thriving. But then it works, and then it's beautiful, and it's true, and it's whole, authentic. That's how the only way to get there is to follow the entire approach in the right way, in the right order. And for that, don't forget, you need the right support and guidance, which we're here to give you. One last quick point for today, which is the fact that this is the entire journey, but this is not like beginning and end, okay? This journey is actually made of cycles but then you want to thrive higher. You have more potential. You want to reach the next level. You go through the journey again because you find new triggers. You find new levels of your trigger, okay? Whenever you try to grow, whenever you try to reach the next level, whether that is in your relationships, your business, finances, your health, your goals, personal development, whenever there's a new level, it's that is outside your comfort zone. So it's going to be triggered and dysregulating. So you're going to go through the journey again. Okay. So it's not just because you have reached the thriving stage that you are done. No, unless you want to, but I don't think you want to. You continue walking. You have more potential to achieve. You read the entire approach and you go higher each time. Okay. It's not a cycle. It's like a spiral going upwards. Okay. It's like a spiral going upwards. And that's how you really thrive. You don't just thrive by going there once and then not growing anymore. You truly thrive by continuing to grow. So the entire spiral, as you go through the cycle again and again, through the approach again and again, that is thriving. So the thriving in itself is you going through this entire approach again and again. And I think that's beautiful. And also you can be at different stages in different areas of your life. So in a certain area of your life, relationship, you might be thriving. In different area, health or business or finances, you might be just learning to cope, or you might be doing healing. Okay. So different areas of your life, you might be at different stages as well. And different emotions that you have, different traumas, different patterns, you might also be at different stages. You might be healing a certain pattern, but still just learning to cope, or even having unhealthy coping with a different. Some people, and it's not the majority, but some people on the genre programs, they are in a certain way on that thriving level, but they still join because they know that they want to thrive higher, or they have other areas of their life that they want to also thrive. So you can also join at that stage. If you're at that stage, that's beautiful. And you have an entire journey ahead of you as well, because you have a new level in front of you. And my friends, those are the 5 stages of the journey. Now you know them. Now you know how it will look like. And we are going to help you go through each of those stages with great success and joy. See you next time. Thanks for listening to this episode of Talk the Walk. If you enjoyed it, like us and send it to someone who you think will like it too. We love your feedback and interaction, and you're welcome to leave us a comment or review, ask a question, or just reach out. Lastly, if today's conversation stirred something in you, remember, you don't have to walk this path alone. Our Star Soul Skill community is where these conversations continue, where you can connect with others on similar journeys and access the courses and support designed to help you integrate this work into your daily life. You will find everything at starsoulschool.com, and the link is in the show notes. See you next time.